today. 4 teams are, well, that much closer, I suppose, to being crowned champions of March, the NCAA men's basketball tournament. Getting back underway last night, we saw big wins for the Chalk. Kansas, Oklahoma, Oregon, and Villanova all advancing on to the next round. The Elite Eight is before us, but before that, 8 more teams look to join them in that round as the second day of the Sweet 16 is upon us. Of course, all games can be caught on CBS and TBS. Here to break it all down with me, Doug Gottleib, a man of many talents, college basketball analyst for CBS Sports and Turner Sports coverage of the tournament, also host of the Doug Gottleib radio show on CBS Sports Radio, and joining us here today. Really what we thought, Doug, might happen last night came to pass. The Chalk advanced, and while Maryland hung around, I suppose, there was a clear difference between the 1s and 2s and the teams they dispatched last night.
Big boy basketball.
Yeah.
You know, you could tell which teams were seeded and why they were seeded. I still think that Villanova played about as perfect a basketball game from about the midway point of the first half on through 10 of 15 from three-point range. Miami didn't play poorly.
Yeah.
They just simply couldn't stop the Wildcats. And what's amazing about this team is they've been a great two-point shooting team and defensive team the whole season. But the first 2 months of the season, despite the fact they play 4 perimeter players out of 5, couldn't make a shot.
Right.
Now they can't miss a shot.
So when this is falling for Archie Diacono and company.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
They were the Golden State Warriors in college basketball last night. Undersized but overskilled, and they just overwhelmed the Hurricanes. And as for the other teams, man, you try to convince people Oregon really is this good.
Yeah.
They won the Pac-12.
Yeah.
They won the Pac-12 tournament. They're a unique team, but also a very athletic team. Jordan Bell, who I think most of America is just coming to learn of his talents. He's their record-holding shot blocker, and he set the career record at Oregon in only 1 year. Plus, they have Chris Boucher, who's another shot blocker. But Bell, 13 points, 7 rebounds, 3 block shots, and some of his dunks, it looked like his head was going through the roof of the Honda Center. I thought Oregon was impressive. And then Kansas, we set this up yesterday. There's no reason to believe that Kansas won't win games, even against teams of maybe better NBA talent. That's what Maryland has, because they just find a way. Game was tied at 43, and they find the ancient Perry Ellis, who seems to have been there forever.
I'm pretty sure he won a title with Danny Manning.
But he took over this game, and the question for Kansas has always been, when they get in the NCAA tournament, when we talk about pros, do you have a guy who can take over a game? Last night it was Perry Ellis, and that's why Kansas advances.
So we, again, see the Chalk last night and perhaps a Kansas-Oregon matchup there in the Final Four. So let's get to what could be a mad Friday night. I want to start with the ones tonight. You have North Carolina up against Indiana, who, for some, surprised against Kentucky. You also have Virginia up against Iowa State. Do you see potential hiccups for either top seed?
I think both the teams will win, but I think they'll be incredibly entertaining games, much more engaging games. Let's start with Indiana. Yeah. This is a team that can score.
Yep.
They also have Yogi Ferrell as their point guard, who's found a way to make big shots throughout his career, and specifically his senior year. I would be stunned if Indiana didn't push North Carolina to the brink. I still think Carolina wins. I think they have a better assortment of big players, especially Bryce Johnson inside. And, you know, Joel Berry has become their leader at the point guard. Let's hope Marcus Page plays to the kind of earlier status of his career. But I think Indiana will push them to the brink. And the same goes for Virginia. Here's the setup for Virginia.
You think that?
For Virginia?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you why. Everybody says Virginia can't score because they play slow. This year, they're actually averaging in the mid-70s. They're the team that's great defensively, that scores better than you think. Iowa State, great offensively. Reputation, terrible defensively. They're actually a little bit better than you think. Plus, Fred Hoiberg at their practice yesterday, Cyclone Nation traveling up to Chicago. They'll have a remarkable following there. I think it'll be a great atmosphere. I think it'll be an entertaining game. I think Virginia wins. I think Malcolm Brogdon is the best player on the floor. And
depth issues for the Cyclones don't concern you.
Of course it does.
Yeah.
You know, you have basically 6 players, and you're playing against a really physical team. And what happens is Virginia's so good defensively that occasionally they'll get called for a foul, and then the officials will kind of even it up. Iowa State kind of fakes it a little bit. They try and stay in front of you. If you want to score, that's fine. We'll get it out the other way. Great matchup of point guards. London Parentes, an L.A. kid playing for Virginia, going against Monte Morris, who's a Flint kid playing for Iowa State. I think this has all the makings of a Titanic showdown. I still think Virginia wins because they're better defensively, but I think both of those games are games in which the favorite will be pushed to the last minute.
Those 2 top seeds then would go through to face teams who we did not see coming.
No.
These other 4 who are left, let's start with a game. Of the games tonight, I mean, look, Carolina, Indiana is going to be great, but Gonzaga, Syracuse.
Wildly entertaining.
11-10.
Right.
Everybody chucking it from the cheap seats.
Yes.
Who knows what's going to happen? Perhaps our expert does.
I think Syracuse is going to win, and I'll tell you why. So Syracuse, they're known for their 2-3 zone, right? And Gonzaga actually statistically great against the 2-3 zone, only they never see it. Nobody zones Gonzaga. One reason is Kyle Wiltshire's a great shooter as a power forward, but just the teams they play, nobody plays zone. So I think you spend your whole week preparing for their defense. Syracuse is pretty good on offense, too, especially when Michael Benajay, who's a 5th-year senior, transferred from Duke, when he's playing well. This is a game in which if you asked both coaches a month ago, what do you think? Actually, a month ago, maybe Syracuse thought they had a chance before they lost 5 of the last 6 games. But now you could see them in the Final Four. You could see a Gonzaga beating a Virginia. You could see a Syracuse beating a Virginia or an Iowa State. So it's weird to see Syracuse and Gonzaga as Cinderellas, but they truly are. I think it's a 1 or 2 possession game. I think Syracuse's guards are better, and I think concentrating on their defense is a mistake that many coaches make. We'll see if Mark Few did it in his preparation for Syracuse.
I have to say goodbye. Say it. Say one team who wins, Notre Dame, Wisconsin. Just say the name. Just say the name of the team.
Notre Dame.
Okay.
I have no idea why.
Doug Gottleib from CBS
more than one
Sports. We appreciate it, Doug. We'll talk to you next week.
Okay.